Hello, welcome back to Food Entertainment for the final MCU review. This is not really much of a review of the plot of the movie because this film has been out for 1 week and I do not want to spoil it for you. So I will not be talking about the plot of the movie. And that, of course, is 2019's The Avengers Endgame. Now, like I said, I will not be spoiling the plot of this movie. I will just talk about my opinion of the movie and how excited I was about the movie and if I enjoyed it. I also cannot talk about the audio and video quality of the movie because the film, looks like elevator films and sounds like elevator films that are in movie theaters. You really can't tell the difference on cinematography, color temperatures, templates, how good the quality of the audio is. We can't speculate on all that when you go to a cinema to watch a movie. Well, let's talk about the box office about it. This film really did surprise me on the box office. I knew it was going to make at least. I knew the predictions of how much money it would make an opening weekend in America in the States was dead on. 350 or close to $350 million was ideal for this movie. But I did not see $1.2 billion worldwide when it came to Avengers Endgame. That really was very surprising to me. I was not expecting that at all. And that did happen. So, pretty crazy how much money this movie made. I could say there are some things about the movie that are not really much of a spoiler for the plot of the movie, but I can talk about them. Like, for example, there's one thing I could say I definitely like about Endgame that I didn't like about Captain Marvel. And I know this is a funny little thing to mention here, and I know it probably doesn't bug anybody but me, but it did bug me. I know a lot about military regulations in the 1980s and 1990s when it comes to female, Air Force pilots and naval officers and stuff like that. And what I didn't like about Captain Marvel is they completely ignored that. Now, I'm not sure what reason they had for paying attention to it in the Avengers Endgame. And of course, obviously, in real life, it was just a wig that Brie Larson was wearing on her head. But I just, it's something that really was weird about Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame. Especially in the fact that Avengers Endgame was filmed first and Captain Marvel second. Well, here's why we're kind of talking about. In the 1980s, matter of fact, from the very beginning of the Air Force all the way up to about 2000, if you were a female in the Air Force and you flew planes, you were not allowed to have hair longer than 1.5 inches on your head. That is common knowledge for anybody who knows about the Air Force. And so, what I never understood is why wasn't Captain Marvel's hair really short the entire time? It should have been really short in Captain Marvel, and it should have been really short the entire movie of Endgame. Now, what's funny is the only time that Brie Larson actually has long hair, although it is a wig, in Avengers Endgame is like the first, 5 minutes that we see her. The rest of the movie, she has a pixie haircut. But I just think that it's just weird that they, didn't think about that the entire time. I mean, it actually makes sense. And the thing about the MCU is always paid very close attention to detail about things. And that right there is a pretty big one, if you ask me. But that didn't bug me too much, but at the same time it did. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't bug any of you because you guys are so used to modern military regulations, they forgot about how it used to be, obviously. Captain America, of course, is Captain America in this movie. He's not Nomad. And of course, this right here doesn't spoil the plot of the movie. How Scott Lang does get back to Earth is, and this is funny as hell, a rat somehow moves the levers on the teleportation device that attracts him back from the quantum realm into our realm. and that's how he gets back here. So I think that's kind of funny. That's how it happens. Because if it weren't for that rat, we'd be screwed. But a rat actually moved the lever and... Ding! That's the only thing I will give away, is those two things. The performances were really good in this movie. Thanos was awesome. I especially like how, some points in the movie, because it has to do with time travel, how they travel to different time periods to get all the stones and stuff, was kind of cool. Which, again, does not give a plot the movie away. If you guys consider that a spoiler, I don't. There's so much in this movie that saying something simple like that is not really spoiling anything. Even without looking at any spoilers on the internet or anything like that, you would definitely not consider that one, because obviously the time travel was involved in this movie. There's no way it wouldn't be. But yeah, the performances were really good. Like I say, that going into Phase 4 is going to be very, very different. It's going to be very, very, very different in Phase 4. The action sequences were very good in this movie. They were well beyond anything I've ever seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The MCU has never, ever been this intense when it comes to the action sequences. These are the best action sequences of the franchise. Definitely can say that. Thanos kicks ass in this movie. All the Avengers kick ass in this movie. Another thing about this movie, I know it's 3 hours long and everybody keeps talking about that. This film does not feel like it's 3 hours long. I would say this film feels a lot like a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. Nothing in this movie drags. I know that some people think that it does, but keep in mind, you're supposed to think in a movie. If you go into a movie thinking that all the thing is going to be done for you and you don't have to use your mind when you watch a movie, then you should be watching movies. I'm sorry, I'll say it like that. You're always supposed to use your mind and think a little bit when it comes to watching movies. It's just the way that it is. The publicity for this movie, I thought was very ingenious. I have never seen a movie to where nothing is told about the movie at all. Literally, we're left freaking plotless when it comes to this movie. Even with the leaked spoilers showing sequences of the film, it still didn't tell you what the movie's about. There were no plot leaks or anything like that, because there's so much in this movie. It's incredible. But yeah, there's a lot of cool shit in this movie. It's very hard for me not to talk about the plot of the movie and spoil it for you. I can talk about the 3D of the movie. I would say the 3D in the movie was about the same as Infinity War. The sad thing about the Blu-ray releases these days of the MCU is you're not allowed to have the 3D version of the movie. And what's funny is it's only over here in the United States of America. I mean, if I actually, say, lived in England or in Scotland, which I wouldn't mind doing, considering the fact that I am pretty British, although I was born and raised in America, I have very much a British persona, so it would work fine for me. Still would feel quite out of place over there in the British Isles. I would come across more American over there than I do in America. But that's the only way you could actually watch the newest MCU movies in 3D is if you actually move to the UK to do it. They have it in the UK, but they do not have the 3D versions of Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Avengers Infinity War. They don't have 3D versions of those movies over here in the United States of America. They have them in the UK though. And that is a bit of a drag, but the 3D was pretty good in this movie, but it's certainly not as good as, say, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies or Doctor Strange. Now, I will talk about Infinity War. For people that saw Infinity War in theaters, for those of you who watched it in IMAX, over in IMAX theaters, will know what I'm talking about. Both Infinity War and Endgame were experimental movies that did something that has never been done on film before. The entire movie, from the first second of the movie to the last second of the movie, was recorded completely and filmed completely in IMAX 3D. The entire thing. And this right here might explain why the two, Avengers 3 and Avengers 4 were not released on 3D in the United States of America. It's probably because there are two versions of these movies. There's the regular theatrical print and there's the IMAX print. Now, the modification, of course, is the regular print. The original movies are the IMAX versions. And yeah, if they released the IMAX versions of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, that would be crazy and cool. Because that would be like a complete IMAX 3D. And anyone knows about IMAX 3D, whether it be at home or in theaters, it is insane. It's badass nuts. I mean, there's a reason why I consider Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2 and Doctor Strange in that one sequence in Civil War so great, is because they're IMAX. Stuff really comes off the screen a lot in those movies. But yeah, the 3D in Endgame was pretty good. Of course, I watched that at Cinemark, not at IMAX theaters, so definitely enjoyed what I saw, though. Now, my predictions on box office during the second weekend, it will probably get to where Avatar was over its entire run, which is $2.2 billion. I would say that Avengers Endgame is quite possibly a movie that will probably make $2.4 billion within its first month. I did not see it not happening. And that right there would indeed make it a groundbreaking record of a movie. Because the number one box office movie of all time is Avatar from 2009, coming to a total of $2.2 billion worldwide during its entire theatrical run. The Avengers Endgame made $1.2 billion in its opening weekend, and this film was sold out. Every showing for the entire weekend was sold out in advance, which means that a lot of people are going to have to wait until the second weekend to watch the movie. So it could strike twice and get past the $2.0 billion market, right there in this box office ticket sales. I can see it happening. And so we got history happening right now with Avengers Endgame. Well, without spoiling really any significant thing about Avengers Endgame, I did tell you a few things I liked about the movie. And I could say this is probably, and people were asking me, actually, I was asking myself about this when I got to, obviously, towards the end here. I was like, what will be my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, my favorite MCU movie? Now, before this, it was Captain America Civil War. I can very easily say my favorite MCU movie is Avengers Endgame. It is the best one of all of the films. And I think the box office speaks about why it's the best one of all the films. It really is the best one. It embodies everything about all of the movies before it in one movie. And that's pretty impressive they can actually do that. And of course they had 3 hours to do it, which is probably why it was so good. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. And I highly recommend watching it in movie theaters. And as for all of you critical people out there, like a few people on YouTube that I do watch, you need to stop being so critical about movies. If you would just accept CGI effects in movies rather than completely ranting about it, if you would accept that films are going to be a little bit commercial and just accept it, you'll have a lot better time watching a movie. But the people that pick on movies like this are the people that absolutely want movies to be like they were in the 80s. It just can't stand the way they are now. And that's not a reason to hate a movie. That's just stupidity. I'm sorry that I bring that up. But that's just the way I look at it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the MCU reviews. And I will be seeing you guys next time for something else. And until then, I hope you had a fun ride with me watching these films. See you next time.